Perfect.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News. I am your host, Dedrick Hilton. We have an amazing show for everyone tonight. I mean, guys, look, we bringing that fresh live content to you, and you do not want to miss this. The topics that we have to talk about is some major eye-opening topics. I hope everyone's doing well on this amazing Monday night. I mean, what great way to start off your Monday by watching some paranormal news. So let's get right on into it. Tonight, the first topic we're going to talk about. Now, this is a very interesting one because let me tell you something what's great about Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News. We cover paranormal news worldwide. That's right, worldwide. Paranormal is just not isolated to the United States. It's not isolated to our backyard. We cover news worldwide. So I have a very interesting story tonight. Very, very interesting. I came across a story that was cut by archaeologists in Poland. That's right, Poland. Poland paranormal family that they showed them uncovering live remains, well, live being streamed air live, but remains of a female vampire skeleton. That's right. You're looking at it right here. The corpse of a female vampire was discovered in Poland. Now, let's slow this down a little bit and observe what you're looking at. It has what they call that a sickle around its throat. Also, its feet was padlocked. This is a female skeleton that they have found. His feet was padlocked. They believe that this female was going to reanimate and come back to life. That's right, reanimate and come back to life. So as you can see, the sickle around its throat. So once it reanimated, they put the sickle there because that's a blade. For those y'all don't know, once she reanimated and lift her neck up, it would slice her throat. That's right. So you're looking at the remains and it was discovered by archaeologists. And there's actually another one here. Let me see. I think we have another good footage here. Check this out. You see that there? That's them, the archaeologists doing the research, and they also had a cross around it too, I guess to protect them in case she reanimated. But there was also a male body that was found too. Now, what's interesting about this story is this corpse date back hundreds of years ago. And for us to unearth that, now this date back before vampire was a thing in movies and TV shows. That's what's so interesting about this discovery. So this was being spoken about before, probably around biblical times. That this was being spoken about people reanimating and tormenting individuals and people within the villages and so forth. So are vampires a real thing? Well, we're looking at the possibility of a corpse. And what's interesting is that in today's time, in the age of the Aquarius, we are starting to see things that were taught to us as folklores. Folklores are really not folklore. There's some evidence now that they may be true. Situations that may seem far fetched are now, there's a strong possibility it might be true. Now, if you look at the photo over here, it looks like the one to the far left. Yes, that blade is right up there close. And the article stated that there was reports why they buried her like this. So this just wasn't off of speculation. She was just a sick blood drinking idiot. You know, what's interesting about this is they stated that there was other reanimations of people coming up out the grave. So were they burying people alive? Did they have some type of virus or illness that the community was unaware of at the time and they were burying them alive? Did they have some form of rabbit rabies that was unidentifiable in this time? Now, keep in mind, we're talking about hundreds of years ago. We're not talking about in the last 4 or 5 years. But just that the community, so there had to be something for in the community to take place from the A, chain her ankles together, and to put this sickle around this blade around her throat. So she reanimated once again, it'll slice her throat. Now, like I said, there was reports of people becoming violent in this community where this was found. It was documented. So it was no longer speculation, it was actually documented here. So, like I said, in the age of Aquarius, truth is being revealed. Truth is being revealed, spiritual family. And hey, the things that really go bump in the night really might be going bump in the night. And no, this is not a blood drinking cult. When I first came across it, I did my research and I said, well, maybe it was just a cult community or something that was being rabid. And it stated, you can look the article up yourself. It's online. And this was done recently. Actually, this was found earlier September. And there's a live video of it and everything. Early September, Paranormal Family. So it's not something that was dug up like 10 years ago. This was a recent discovery. Age of Aquarius, truth shall be revealed. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So moving right along, I want to talk to you guys because right now we have a lot of spiritual people that watch our show. And we all know that we in this funky retrograde energy. But I have a question. Even though we all in this retrograde energy, do a lot of you, that's just a theory. So still eerie laugh out loud. Yeah, just a theory. Family religion based tradition. You're right. You know? In the age of Aquarius, we are all becoming enlightened individuals, very enlightened. We all go through spiritual gains, and at times it feels like some of us are experiencing actual downloads. Let's have that conversation. Let's have that conversation here. Are you having spiritual downloads? Let's discuss some of these, the signs that metaphysics have been discussing in these strenuous spiritual times that we're living in. Everything is changing so rapidly before us. And it might be challenging for some of us to get our bearings, our spiritual bearings and stuff. But if you look here, This is about spiritual downloads. When you tap it into that higher level of consciousness. Let's discuss some of these because I myself, to be transparent, September has been a funky month energy wise. I've been burning sage like I don't know what in the home. It's been very, very strange energy. Um I'm going with the flow. I'm rolling with the punches. I have been having downloads myself, so that's what prompted me to do tonight's article here. So, signs of spiritual download: chills, tingles, vibrations in your crown chakra. Have you been having any chills, just random chills throughout the day? Any tingles in your spinal cord? What about ringing in your ears? I have that one myself. And vivid dreams with the sense of a message. I had the vivid dream one too. It was very vivid, matter of fact. And the dream was so vivid to the point, like mine had something to do with water. And I don't want to say what was in the water because it creeps me out. But my dream was so vivid that I could feel the water in the dream like splashing on me. And even though the scientists have said that when we in REM mode, rapid eye movement sleep, that we tend to dream in black and white, not color. But I believe that, just my belief as a metaphysics spiritualist, I believe dreams sometimes take us to other spiritual realms. Hey there, Honey Christy, how you doing? And it takes us into other spiritual realms. And these spiritual realms sometimes will show us things in that dimension, what we should be focusing on in this dimension. All these. Hey, fire moons going on. So let's go on to right here. Random waking up in the middle of the night, usually between 3 and 5 a.m. I had that one too. And sometimes I don't go to sleep until about 4:30 or 5. Now, they say 3 o'clock, 3 a.m. is a spiritual time. Some people say that's when the devil is playing. All depends on what school of thought you coming from. It could mean different things. But I believe also at 3 a.m., our spiritual self is waking us up because it's trying to tell us something. If I wake up at 3 a.m., I go meditate. I don't turn the TV on. I go ahead and meditate. Because I believe that's my spiritual body telling me, hey, you need to get balanced. Something's going on. If you usually wake up at 3 a.m., also it could be a sign, 3 to 5 a.m., a sign of anxiety. So you're waking up out of REM sleep, a sign of anxiety. But these are signs of spiritual downloads, though, because oftentimes when you tap into these higher forms of anxiety, it actually, what's interesting is you recognizing your anxiety sometime, or a deeper form of your anxiety, is you going into a deeper level of consciousness. Because everybody has some form of anxiety, but the thing is, we don't realize what caused our anxiety. When I get activation upload, I get access to more information. My consciousness expands. I don't get any of these so-called symptoms. Okay, instantaneous access to higher info. All right. Well, you just stated that one of them is instantaneous access to higher information and wisdom you haven't had before. The witching hour. That's right. Some people call it the witching hour or the demon hour or the devil hour. So right here you have instantaneous access to higher information and wisdom, and that's the whole point of the download. It's a spiritual download. These are certain signs. Like for example, and I'm just talking about Southern folklore. The elders would say if your ears is ringing, that means someone's talking about you. They're having a conversation about you. Now, going back to the dream part, I have vivid dreams, very vivid dreams. My dreams always have a message to them. I was raised by the elders. If you dream about snakes, usually that's your enemies. If you dream about running water, rivers, and the water is aggressive and rapid, that means you might have financial problems. If the water is steady, that means your finances will be good. They say if the water is murky and dirty, you might need to start putting back for a rainy day. See, dreams could give you insight and download. All depends on the community you come from, too. But like they said, here, instantaneous access to higher information and wisdom you haven't had before. That's the whole point of the download, to enlighten you, to put you on a path. But these are signs. And everybody, some people have one, some people have two, some people have none. Let's move right along. Random burst of energy and inspiration. random bursts of energy and inspiration. Now, me being a parapsychologist and being my background is in counseling and clinical therapy, this is interesting. Why? Because in the clinical world, they would say random bursts of energy and inspiration is a sign of bipolar, of manic behavior. But in the metaphysic world, it's a sign of spiritual download. So when people are not sleeping, people are not getting rest, that could be seen as a sign of anxiety too. But in the metaphysical world, it's a sign of spiritual download. Your telepathy. Yeah. Yeah. And it'll start tweaking you and you'll get stronger in different areas. You'll get stronger in different areas. But I want to talk about this here because what happened if, and this is why I believe in holistic counseling, which I also offer holistic counseling, because holistic counseling gives you a different view from standard clinical counseling. It gives you a different perspective. Clinical will list that behavior, spiritual family, as bipolar. It'll list it as manic behavior. But the metaphysics is saying, no, you're tapping into a different realm about yourself. You're tapping into a deeper level of consciousness about yourself. So that's why I believe you should find therapy that fits your needs, that fit what's going on. Now, I'm not telling you if you suffer severe trauma, of course you should seek clinical therapy. But some of this stuff that goes on with us is not always so it's not so clinical, so to speak. If I want to use that term properly, it's not so clinical. Sometimes it's deeper. Let's just look back at these last ones here. Heightened intuition and healing ability, assessing dramatically different state of consciousness, high frequency of communication with higher self and spiritual guides. Definitely at this time, like I said, rolling with the punches, going with the times and stuff. Like I had a client, and just put it out there. They were just talking about the job market, economy, blah blah. Right, and I told him, I said, don't try to always control everything because that comes from a place of anxiety, the need to control, the need to be in charge. Sometimes it's just better to go with the flow of the universe. It's just better to go with the flow of the universe. Because when you start forcing things, the universe, it don't line up with the universe correctly. Sometimes that job call you didn't get back and you were like, oh, I really need a job. I can't believe you didn't call me back. It may be the universe telling you, no, this is your blessing. You don't need this job. Don't worry about it. Move on to the next thing. There's something better and greater waiting. That's when you have to start looking deeper within yourself and tap into that deeper level of consciousness. Deeper level of consciousness. Moving right along, guys. I said we have an interesting show tonight. I got a guest I'm getting ready to bring on real soon. But before I bring them on, I'm gonna put up a topic. The reason why I'm gonna bring them on. So, researchers has shown, and this is interesting. Research has shown, NASA research, 4 hostile alien civilizations may be lurking in the Milky Way. That's right. 4 hostile, 4 hostile, that's right. I want y'all to notice here. Alien civilization may be lurking in the Milky Way. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is going to lead into our guest. Because right now, you have the government creating the Space Force. For those you don't know, there's a whole new branch of the military that has been developed. It's called Space Force. And interestingly, the people that run it, the soldiers, like how I'm a veteran myself, they call us Army soldiers or whatever, Marine is called this, and Navy soldiers call that. They're called Guardians. That's what they call. And this is a real branch. You can look them up. As you know, in May, the government have released a live study that was done on camera about the possibility of UFOs existing. And during that study, that they actually stated that these UAPs are not part of the United States, and they're not Russia, and they're not China. So that opens up the possibility that there's other life forms, which they did not deny. They actually basically came out and said that, hey, you know, we're not alone. Right, and I absolutely agree. But the researcher and people working with NASA, they said possibility 4. So that means they're still up in their communication level. This is just the beginning, which actually is not the beginning. It's just them. It's the beginning of them sharing this information with the mass public, because the government knew about this prior to what's been going on lately in the news and information that's being released. And this goes into my guest for tonight. Everyone, I have a very, very exciting guest that I'm getting ready to bring on. Are you guys ready? I'm bringing on Mr. Jim Andre. Hey, Jim. How you doing?
Yeah, how's it going there, Diedrich? Thanks for having me on here. It's an honor.
Hey, thank you for being on. I appreciate you, brother.
My pleasure.
All right, so we have Jim here, and as you know, tonight's topic, one of the topics we were talking about was hostile, 4 potential hostile alien races that might exist out there that could be a threat to humanity and Earth. And Jim, I want you to introduce yourself, and maybe you could enlighten us on this topic.
All right. I'm an alien abductee. Was abducted in the late fall of 2012. For those who are not familiar with my story, I'm a retired Massachusetts constable and motor coach bus driver. And I distinctly remember that it was on a Wednesday night, and I was sitting in front of my computer looking at the lower right-hand corner of the computer monitor to know what time it was, because I had to get up early to drive bus the next morning. All of a sudden I went out and I came back to, and I'm like in a daze trying to figure out where I'm at, and I'm looking around the room there, still sitting in front of the computer, and I glance over to the alarm clock and it said 2:57 a.m. So I'm trying to gather my thoughts, and all of a sudden I feel an intense burning sensation on my right forearm. And I know this sounds bizarre. I mean, it would be hard for me to swallow if I didn't experience what I experienced. There's an alien tattoo on my right forearm that depicts an alien gray. And this is the tattoo here.
Mm, wow.
Now, of course, when this happened, I was beside myself. And, I kept it quiet. I held it inside me for about a year and a half, 2 years. And then I decided to come out with it. I went public on a local cable TV news channel in my area up there in Massachusetts to explain my experience. And coincidentally, the host of the show was an attorney for a law firm that I did hundreds of serves for as being a constable. So
Mm.
technically, when I came out with it at that time, I was putting my reputation on the line. But from then on, it's just been moving forward about my experience. And, I'm not ashamed to say what I've experienced. I mean, I know there's people that are not going to believe it. If I was on the other side of the fence, I probably wouldn't believe it myself. But it's all very real.
Well, Jim, I believe your story should be told because, like I said, Congress had a meeting back in May where they talked about the UAPs, and you guys can go on Hoodoo Lounge TV to see that. Or they spoke about the crafts existing, the technology, and that they're not man-made. And what I believe as a UFO researcher, that the next wave of conversation is hearing stories from people like you that's been abducted. What was your experience like? What did you feel like? Care to share that?
Well, I mean, what I feel like, I don't know what to feel at the time. I mean, I was beside myself. I mean, I told my dad about it. Some family members who actually, of course, thought I was nuts. But I felt like, you know, I didn't know if there was actually something wrong with me, or that's something I had to rationalize within myself over a course of time before I felt comfortable doing what I'm doing now.
So you definitely had interaction with the Greys.
Yes.
Did they give you a message?
Oh yeah, I get telepathic downloads. Some of the viewers are familiar with this. I've stated this before. I get information. Yes,
Okay.
it's not something that I initiate. It just
Right.
comes to me when it comes to me.
Uh, like I said, so what is your thoughts about these four civilizations that they just sharing with us? Because my honest opinion, I believe there's more civilizations out there. But what are your thoughts for someone that's been abducted about these alien civilizations, and do you believe they're hot?
Well, the thing is, you can't believe everything that the news media tells you. That's my opinion. From the information that I've gathered, um, what the powers that be are going to be planning is false flag alien abduction. And what I mean by that is we have the technology today where we got the holograms. We can watch Michael Jackson on stage like he's actually really there when he isn't. Um, what they're going to have is holograms in the sky of UFO craft. And they're going to make it look like they're lethal. They'll be firing weapons when in reality, the weapons will actually be being fired by the military itself to put fear into the masses, to give the masses the idea that the extraterrestrials don't have our best interests in mind, which could be furthest from the truth.
Right, right. Now, for those of y'all that's tuning in, we have our special guest here, Jim Andre. Jim, you're on the money because, pardon me, because the United States military is already experimenting with hologram technology. I myself is a veteran of the United States Army, and I recall being at Fort Benning and hearing sergeants and lieutenants discuss of them using hologram technology out there during Desert Storm and other wars and stuff, where they'll project the image of a tank, and then the
Right,
enemy. And they love to do it at nighttime too. They said because they can see the flame, the fire of the the weapons and stuff. And they said
right,
they'll project the image of the tank, and it'll even show up on the radar, on the enemy radar, and the enemy will shoot at it. And when they see the weapons come from there, that lets them know the location of their enemy. So this hologram war or hologram warfare, I should say it, so to speak. Um, what do you think eventually is going to be the major goal, the outcome that they want to get from it?
well, like I said, for thousands of years, they've used the fear tactic through religion itself. So this is just another tactic to push the envelope, if you will.
Mm,
You
right.
know, it's all about total control, and their ultimate agenda and goal is to eventually eliminate 95% of the world population.
Mm, right. Right. A war demic.
Right. Now, you remember Orwell's 1932, I believe it was, War of the Worlds.
That's right.
That was
War of the
now
world.
that was just a radio broadcast,
And people went
but
crazy.
it had a profound effect. So can you imagine what type of an effect this modern day technology would have?
Oh yeah. If you come outside and you look up in the sky and you see a mothership piercing through the sky, a giant mothership that takes up half majority of the sky. I mean, that would frighten the average human walking around.
Exactly, and not to mention the weapons that it'll appear that it's firing.
And and the casualties that will be lost. And this is interesting.
Right,
I I tell people, I said there's a reason why the Space Force was created.
that's right,
And it's in the early stages of it. It's already created. And like I said, they call them guardians. They already have the anthem and everything. But if you could generate fear in the public about a false alien attack,
right.
that gives the public. It'll turn the public around when they say we need to support the Space Force more. We need to invest more money into this program, which eventually just leads them out to space to control another realm besides here on Earth.
Exactly.
And
Right.
you said 95% of population being wiped out. And if it's not exactly 95, it's going to be a large number, and the other portion is going to be probably most likely transported to Mars, while you will have Space Force as the space police monitoring these other planets where we'll be transported.
Right. Well, years ago, I believe it was President Eisenhower, or was it Roosevelt? One of them warned of the military-industrial complex, and that's exactly what we're going up against today.
Right. Right. Remember Reagan? Reagan stated in one of his speeches, how will humanity react and nations react if we found out we had a common enemy out in space?
Right.
We'll have to
Yeah.
unite.
In other words, he said we'd have to unite as a species against an alien threat.
Now,
So that was kind of put. Now back then, even then, that's kind of putting like a hint into the mix.
Right, dropping the Easter eggs.
Right. Exactly.
Right. Yeah, dropping the Easter eggs. And this is interesting because we have to look at this because I pay attention to what the government say and what they don't say, and what they say and what they really should be saying,
Right.
so to speak. Double speak kind of scenario.
Well, and I mean, today it's all fake news. They only broadcast what they want you to hear.
Right.
Now, for an example of what I mean, the Tuskegee incident there with the syphilis.
The airmen, correct.
Right. Now, that was a government program. They purposely infected these black sharecroppers with the virus, syphilis virus, to do medical testing on them without their knowledge.
Right.
Now that's factual. See, back then we got factual news. Okay, we had reporters that were real reporters that were dedicated to their trade. But today, everything is controlled. Today, if you say something about the coronavirus or the
You're gonna get banned.
pandemic, if I call it a plandemic, they'll take me off the air. See?
Yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
You say the wrong political affiliation.
Now how would that plandemic be any different than the Tuskegee incident?
Right. Right. Or leading up to the alien attack.
Exactly.
Alien
Exactly.
attack. All
Exactly.
the stuff is tied in together. And it's interesting you say that, because in 1997, I had an internship for the New York Times when news was still kind of real new. 1997, and I remember going upstairs, and I had an elder gentleman that was like training me on how to go about finding news and how to go about reporting it and getting newsworthy stuff to air. And he said, just go out, get real news, and be truthful to the people. That makes a good reporter. Today's time, these reporters are told what you're going to go out and get. They tell you what you're going to get and what you're going to report back to the people, and how long you're going to be able to report in that stream.
Well, there are very few dedicated, I think, journalists out there that are dedicated today, but they're in a very hard position. Matter of fact, there was one that was just murdered recently for coming out with stories against a politician there. I forget where that was, but yeah, there are some dedicated, but not many.
Right. Well, in terms of these four species, now you say you had contact with the Greys.
Yes, the Zeta reticula. Yeah.
What are some of the other species you think that might possibly exist?
Well, you got the short grays, you got the tall grays, you got the Anunnaki. They got there's probably, I don't know, there's probably 60 plus species out there, different species.
You think any of the humanoid ones are?
And I can't sit here and say that they all have our best interests in mind, but I believe the majority do.
Right. Hence why some of these UAPs are being seen right now. They've been spotted over our nuclear power plants. Maybe they're sending us a warning that we shouldn't be toying around with this type of bomb.
Well, what that tells me is that they're doing their dry runs with their technology
Mm,
in order to save man from man himself, because there's no doubt in my mind that man is on a path of self-annihilation. Um, but when them UFOs are seen over these military bases, which they've been seen worldwide, by the way, they cut the power to the nuclear weaponry, to the whole system.
yes.
And it takes the military 24 hours to reboot the system back to firing status. So
Right.
that tells me they're doing their due diligence to protect us from ourselves. And I mean, there's other stuff I can say about the Georgia Guidestones. They were sabotaged. Yes, they were sabotaged. They were sabotaged by the Zeta Reticula
Mm,
purposely to send a message to the 1% or the powers that be to start messing around with that Hadron Collider, where they're smashing atoms, trying to discover the God particle.
mm. And hey,
Because they don't know they don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they're playing with.
interesting. We have Vic. He stated they have bases underwater here on Earth, and Vic, you're absolutely correct because think about this here. As you know, the Tic Tac object was seen a lot around the water and naval ships and stuff. And I know they're looking out there beyond in different galaxies and so forth, and looking for different communication life form. Because China also extended their satellite technology to try to communicate with species abroad too. But right here on Earth, in our ocean, might be the strong possibility of alien bases.
Oh yeah, there are bases spread all over the world in the water. I mean, there's one location that I know of, which is called the Puerto Rico Trench. It's in the, I guess, mid-Atlantic somewhere, which is over 5 miles deep.
Mm. Now, for those that's tuning in, let's connect history with some science. Columbus himself has stated that when he was sailing over here, he saw objects and lights in the sky that he could not explain that will raise up out the waters and shoot off in the heavens. And he'll see them descend from the heavens into the water too. And this is another reason
Right.
why they didn't want to release Columbus' diary because his diary it just wasn't telling about, the natives and who he encountered over here. But he also was telling about what other species or other life form or objects that was being seen at that time too. You know, so yeah, you said Puerto Rico, near Puerto Rico, most likely. Then he said about five
Yeah, you
miles.
can Google Puerto Rico Trench. The depth of the ocean, Atlantic Ocean in that area is over 5 miles, which is very deep. I mean, a lot of pressure at that depth.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, 5 miles deep. Yeah, that's some serious pressure. Um, which once again explains that these Tic Tac objects, we have to question their technology because if they could descend that deep into the water at those rapid speeds.
Well, yeah, from what I understand, what they do is they use some type of energetic field, which actually, in other words, the lower they go, the the uh, the pressure expands to the pressure coming in. So
Mhm.
basically, it's like a counteraction of the force, and that's how they're able to travel the speed. They can speed through the water. The water doesn't hold them back because they're in
Right.
like a bubble. They're in the best way I could explain it is
Anti-gravity.
an energetic bubble.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw that, and you're actually right, Vic. I saw that the Russia had a fight with 9-foot aliens underwater. I saw that, and I also saw the report about the craft flying over Russian nuclear power plant, and it turned off their system and active. Well, I also saw one where it said it triggered their missile system and could have started a World War III, and it was able to shut it down fortunately in due time. So yeah, like there might be some out there that's hostile, and there's some that want to help us. My question is that, and I'm quite sure a lot of the public is curious about this: is are there any humanoids amongst us? any humanoid, and how can we trace them or track them? Are we the humanoids? Let's touch on
Well,
that.
I will tell you, we all have alien DNA.
Mm. So if we all have alien DNA, do you think that our the psychic abilities that we have and that we trigger or we find out by ourselves are these downloads like I was talking about earlier, the higher levels of consciousness and enlightenment? Do you think that's us tapping into our alien DNA, supposedly?
Well, that's a possibility. That is a possibility. I believe we all have different gifts, but the key to initiate whatever gift that you want to utilize has got to be built on the foundation of belief. In other words, you have to believe that you can. If you're trying to do something or practice something that's out of the ordinary, and you got this little voice in the back of your head that says, "What am I doing this for? What am I stupid? This is never going to work. It never will." And I believe that's why the majority don't experience the pleasure of using the gifts that they are actually born with.
Yes, and it's a lot of negative manifestation. A lot of negative
Yes,
manifestation, that seed of doubt that just keep blossoming in our heads. And hey, Jonathan, and that goes back into the downloads, meditating, cleansing your home,
right.
becoming balanced and whole with yourself, looking within and seeing the diamond or the superior spiritual being within inside. Uh, I could dig. I'm receptive to us having alien DNA because I do
Mhm.
believe that we're tied to something greater beyond our planet. I had a theory. This is
Right,
my
exactly.
and you can and I want you to enlighten me on what you think about this theory, Jim. I had a theory. I had this
Well,
theory.
yeah, I mean, we're a part of the universe.
Right.
You know what we are. Everything in existence is the universe experiencing itself in a gazillion different ways all at one time.
I absolutely agree. I had a theory that we was brought down here by aliens and they brought us down here and they come back to visit and see how we evolve as a species. And
Exactly.
I
They
had
monitor our progress. Yeah,
right
that's
over time.
exact. That's they monitor our progress from a behind the scenes approach because they realize that we're free will individuals, free will spirits. They don't want to intervene and force us to do anything against our will. But the way the world is heading today, there is going to come a point where they will intervene, in order to save man from man himself.
Hence why you will see on the Egyptian pyramids aircrafts that resemble airplanes or a jet engine. You see it on the Aboriginals in Australia and other indigenous civilizations on their writings and stuff. They even found on the Taino caves in Dominican Republic drawings that look like spacecraft objects. And we've been visited for a long time by our ancestors.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, yeah, and I think a lot of that started, in recent, I say recent history. Well, I mean like maybe a couple of thousand years ago with Egypt, with the Anunnaki. Um, and I believe the Anunnaki had to, I can give you a quick rundown of what I believe, what my theory is. I believe that we are a product and result of an experiment performed by a higher intelligence of life, which are the extraterrestrials themselves.
mm,
Our DNA and the DNA of the great ape species is 98 to 99% identical. So through you know genetic manipulation and artificial insemination between the great ape species and the alien species, they created man. Now, once they created man, like we were speaking about before, they monitored him from a distance to see his progress. Now, one thing that was slow was his intelligence and advancing. So that's when they built the island of Atlantis
mm,
that
right.
served as a learning facility to jumpstart man's knowledge. Now that's how they built the pyramids with the help of the aliens. Okay, so at that time they taught man engineering, mathematics, calculations, astronomy, the whole works. They built the pyramids. Today, we have architects and scientists that can't duplicate the precision that the pyramids were built with all the technology we have today.
That's right.
So the question is, how could they have possibly done it back then? And not only that, pyramids are found on all four corners of the world. Back then, there was no way of communication like we have today. So something from somewhere had to help us out with that. We didn't come up with that on our own.
To come up with the visualization of it too. Like you look at the Mayans and Incas, they had pyramids.
Now when you get all these depictions of these aircrafts and all that stuff, where would they have gotten that thousands of years ago? Unless they actually seen one.
Right, exactly.
Right.
And so graphic and detailed, by the way, Paranormal Family. If you go look up aircraft on pyramid walls, Google that. You go like, what? Like, yeah, this is found in South America.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah.
With like jet engines on it. Where did this come from?
Right.
Where
exactly.
Heck,
and they even have depictions of astronauts in spacesuits.
Exactly. And if you want to get biblical for our fellow Christians out there, the book of Ezekiel, the spinning wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Spinning wheel.
That describes an alien craft, right?
That's right. So I mean it could be them coming down, check out Bermuda Triangle caused by underwater alien colonies. I thought about that. And I also thought about that we're going to touch on that. Great, Jonathan. Great question. Jonathan asked, is the Bermuda Triangle created by alien colony? And before we jump into that, because that's going to lead into that, look in the background at my at the pyramids in the background.
Well, I love that background.
Thank you.
I love that background.
A lot of people don't realize those are actually communication portals. They channel energy from the tips of them.
Exactly.
And they were created on, if you look at it on Google, they're created on certain axes that create certain energy. So check it out. But this goes back into Atlantis. Atlantis, they say, had lasers, which could have possibly
exactly.
They actually had lasers.
And they're lined up perfectly with the stars astronomically.
That's right. They're on the grid, perpendiculars and all that. And now it goes right back into what Jonathan asked, the Bermuda Triangle has an underbase colony, alien colony. Who knows? Like, because aircraft disappear without a trace, without any fragments or anything. Like, we all seen planes go down the ocean and you see like a door or something floating somewhere. But this here is like something disintegrates them with nothing. So what if there might be advanced alien technology in the Bermuda Triangle?
Yeah, I believe there is because there's a lot of paranormal phenomenon that goes on in that area.
A whole lot. I remember seeing a documentary where the guy had a barge and the rope froze in midair, but it wasn't attached to anything. And he said it was cold as ice when he was cutting through there. Look at when airplanes travel, you have the magnets go crazy on the compass.
Right. Yeah, they lose all their compasses and gauges, and it's like they're flying blind.
Flying blind. Yeah. Yeah. And in I think Bermuda Triangle is actually the deepest part of the Atlantic Ocean.
Yeah, and also all the ships that went missing.
Right.
And not only that, different sightings of ghost ships in that area
reappearing. And these sightings, once again, Paranormal Family, was also dated back in Columbus' diary. And other sailors have seen craft that from certain areas that shouldn't be sailing reappearing.
Right.
Ghost ships reappearing. They're called dead zones. Yeah, I wouldn't want to fly over there. Matter of fact, I don't think too many planes do fly over those regions and stuff. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's almost like a recording from the past. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a replay. Yeah.
Wow. Well, Jim, I want to thank you for coming on tonight's show. You guys give Jim a round of applause. There's going to be more Jim to come. We're going to have Jim on here again. Jim, I'd love to have you back on here. And
thank you.
Next time.
I'd be honored to come back, and I thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys. Jim, we'll see you again later, Jim.
All right, see you on the next one.
All right.
Bye.
All right, guys. Hey, you know what? It's time for a commercial break, everyone. That was awesome. Jim. But look, we got a commercial break. You guys stay tuned. I want to share something amazing with you for Hoodoo Lounge TV that is coming and already has arrived. Just just watch. All right, guys, we are back. That's right. And we have Life Force MMA channel, which deals with combat sports. If you love all the great boxing matches from Mike Tyson, all the greatest fights, UFC matches, if you want to learn how to train in Krav Maga, kickboxing, Muay Thai, all the great martial arts, Taekwondo, all that. Want to work on getting fit, sit ups, lifting weights. This channel covers all that. But I also threw in a little bit treat for Life Force MMA channel. Guess what it is? You can also watch some of our greatest action movies from the 80s, 90s, and today. That's right. Them great action movies from back in the day that inspire us all to get fit and learn some good fighting. All right, moving right along. So check this out, Spirit Family. We have a good show. I want to talk to you guys about one of our last topics for the night. As you know, Halloween season is amongst us. And during Halloween time, everyone loves to watch paranormal and get into the paranormal, right? So, researchers have shown, parapsychologists and so forth have shown that when you come across a ghost, temperature tends to change. You come across a ghost, temperature tends to change. That's right. So, this is what research is showing. Now, if you do paranormal investigations, like myself, or you're a paranormal researcher, like myself, you most likely take a thermometer or some type of temperature device with you. Have anybody ever been walking somewhere and you just felt a drastic cold chill where the air changed so drastically that you could see the cold breath? Have you ever, or better yet, get to this. Now they say it tends to get cold, but I have spoke with people before during research where they say they even walked through somewhere and they felt a hot spot, a heated spot. Now I'm located near Georgia and South Carolina coastal region. Amongst the Geechee culture, they say when you walk down a dirt road and you walk across a drastic hot spot, they say you don't walk through the devil or you don't walk through some bad spirit. But nonetheless, all these are spirits, ghosts, demon, how you want to chuck it up. But have you experienced any change in temperature? If so, you yourself might have walked through a ghost. These are just little tips when you're doing your paranormal investigation. And if you feel it, use your phone. Your phone has apps in it now that could you could download a thermometer or some type of temperature gauge that could measure the temperature and see for yourself if the temperature is. Now, if you're standing in this one spot and you notice the temperature dropped by a whole lot and then you move somewhere else and there's no air blowing anywhere, you yourself just might have walked through a ghost. That's right, spiritual family. Well, look, moving right along, I'm not going to hold y'all too long. I want to share this here. That's right. Rock the Ghost Walk in Hamlet, North Carolina, October 14th and the 15th. That's coming up very soon. Go ahead and get your tickets. Rock the Ghost Walk in Hamlet, North Carolina, October 14th and 15th. I myself will be there. Check it out. And we have another one, World Largest Ghost Hunt. When the world comes together for one purpose, Hamlet Depot Museum, Hamlet, North Carolina. You guys make sure you show up for this. This is an event you do not want to miss. Oh yeah, I'm excited about that. I love a good ghost walk. And what's good is with the ghost walk, they're gonna show you how to use paranormal equipment. So if you're in the era, come on out. Bring the kids and have a good time and everything, and learn what paranormal science is all about. Now, I want to talk to you guys. 'Cause like I said, I know we were talking about spiritual stuff and we were talking about spiritual things earlier, and I said energy has been funky, right? And for those of you guys that are experiencing funky energy, a way to protect yourself if you're experiencing funky energy is you need to invest in some hot foot powder. That's right. This is an old Southern remedy. You can put it down around your homes. You can put it down in your office to protect you from bad energy or negative people. It's an old hoodoo way of practicing to protect yourself. Not necessarily spell work, but I know people that had bad company come over to their house. They didn't want certain family members or friends come on over. So they put some hot foot powder down around, and you could put it around the side of your house. You could put it underneath your bed. You could put it behind the TV. You could put it in your office by your desk if you work in an office or cubicle. And what this does is it protects you from negative energy, negative people, negative energy, and it creates peace. It also generates peace. And yes, Chris John Merritt, yes, the energy has been wild. That's why I put this up here. The energy has been wild for this month. Please, everybody, just roll with the punches. Just roll with the punches. Uh, no, it's not Epsom salt. It's black hot foot powder. That's what it is. It's black hot foot powder, not Epsom salt. Before, if you don't have hot foot powder, you could bless sea salt and put sea salt down too. It has spiritual components added to itself too. But protect yourself. Just don't push anything. Just roll with the punches. Don't push anything. Don't push. It's not the time this month to be pushing deals. I wouldn't start doing that. Read over contracts. If it feel like people are wasting your time, it's the energy. It's not the people. We're in that retrograde energy there, and protect yourself. Now, guys, I have a very, very good announcement. A very, very good announcement that I want to share with you guys. I've been saving this, but I'm going to share it with everybody because that's what I do. So I want to share it with you guys. That's right. Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News is being aired in the movie Pay to Die. That's right. Pay to Die. Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News will be in the movie Pay to Die. I'll let you guys know the announcing dates and stuff when it'll be aired and streamed. It'll be on DVD. You could get it out of Walmart. It'll be on streaming networks. And they invited me on to play the role of myself, Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News. So yes, I'll be playing the role of myself. And you can find me on imd.com, Dedrick Hilton, imd.com. You can find me on imd.com. That's right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in to our show tonight. We're gonna have more great content coming. Just stick around, man, and share this with your friends and family and loved ones. And this is what it's about. On Who Allows Paranormal News, we're gonna bring the truth to you because the truth has the right to be shared, and we don't hide anything. We're bringing you pure, raw, live truth on Hoodoo Lounge Paranormal News. Stay alert, stay protected, stay blessed, paranormal family. And I'll see you guys soon.